What's up, guys? Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and today we have an insane show for you, especially considering some of the topics that we're going to discuss. Yes, we're going to talk about Bruce Jenner and his gender identity, but one company is trying to profit off of it, and they're getting a lot of heat as a result. Also, we're going to talk about the protests in Baltimore and some of the consequences that journalists have had to face. And later on in the show, we will discuss the Airbnb for the kinkiest people in the country. We're going to show you pictures, and you do not want to miss it. But before we get to all of that, I'm sure you're wondering who our panelists are for the show today, so let's go ahead and meet them. In fact, some of you have probably already met them because they've been on the show before. We have returning panelist Robby Motz. He's the host of Equals 3. Robby, during the break, you were concerned about some of the questions in the show today.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get ready. Just get ready, that's all I'm gonna say.
And Wendy, she hasn't been here in a really long time. Wendy Carrillo, she is a journalist and radio host. Thank you for coming back, Wendy.
Glad to be here.
All right, so let's get started. Now, one of the biggest news stories of the week has to do with Bruce Jenner. At 65 years old, he was courageous enough to come forward, do an interview with Diane Sawyer on ABC's 2020, and talk about his gender identity. During the interview, he claimed, or he said, that he identifies more as a woman, and he has always identified as a woman, but it was a secret that he had kept his entire life. Now, of course, that was something that was beyond courageous for him to do, but since we live in this capitalistic society, some businesses want to capitalize on it. Enter the Senate Pub in Cincinnati. They have certain hot dogs that they like to name after celebrities, and they recently came up with Bruce Jenner 2.0. It is a specific hot dog that has specific toppings, and it's questionable to say the least. So the item consists of a hot dog cut down the middle, topped with tomatoes, cheese, lettuce, and sauce, and wrapped in a tortilla. The part hot dog, part taco creation has references to genitalia, obviously. So, is that offensive? Yes. Is it poking fun at something that's really serious? Yes. Does the hot dog look delicious? Yes. But I do want to know what you guys think about this. So, Wendy, I'm going to go to you first. Make your point.
Yeah, I don't think that it's like super offensive. I actually think that it's paying tribute to the fact that this man who's 65 is really like starting to live his life. And I totally want to go, and I totally want to eat the hot dog because it looks delicious. And I applaud Bruce Jenner for what he's doing. This is probably the first time in a long time that I've actually watched TV live and watched commercials and put myself through commercials just to see like what he was going to say. But yeah, I'm really happy for him, and I think that the restaurant, questionable,
right?
But I'd like to see what other celebrities they have.
Well, they realized that they were wrong in naming the hot dog what they did. So they did actually release an apology. Here's a quote by Daniel Wright. He's the owner of the Senate Pub. He says, "We have always been strong allies of the LGBT community. We made a poor choice in describing our hot dog of the day. It was highly insensitive, and for that, we are sorry." Robby Motz, make a point.
I disagree. I don't think the hot dog looks tasty. I think the taco hot dog thing is a mistake to begin with. But, like, this place is in Ohio, right? And they got so much publicity over this kind of really stupid thing. I think that they got what they wanted out of this, you know?
They definitely did.
And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because it's like, it's so hammy, it's so cheesy to like name your food dishes off of celebrities. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But I guess that's how you do it. That's how you get business, and they're probably doing just fine.
I'm sure they're doing just fine, and I do commend them for apologizing. I think that does take a lot, especially when your entire business is about poking fun at celebrities and doing exactly what they did with this hot dog. Well, here's a personal question for the story. Would you rather live the rest of your life as the opposite sex or start over again as a kid? Wendy?
Do I get to start over with like the knowledge that I have now? I think.
Sure.
Okay, then yes, start over as a kid.
Start over as a kid.
Yeah.
What would you change?
What do you mean? Like,
what's one thing that you would change if you could start over as a kid?
I think I would, I know it's super cheesy, but I think I would pay more attention in school. Yeah, I think if I would have set myself up differently, I'd be different. And you don't really know that until you're an adult and you realize, damn, my parents were right all along.
That's so true.
Yeah.
You know, they always tell you as they're disciplining you, one day you're going to grow up and you'll understand. One day you're going to have kids of your own and you'll understand. And it's usually true. Yeah. Robby, what about you?
Yeah, I'd start over as a kid. Because, like, I'm basically a kid now. Like, I'm kind of just like a fully grown kid. So yeah, I would start over. There's a lot of things I wish I could have done better. Like, you know, like as a man, like there's a lot of things as a male I wish I did better growing up. You know,
like what?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I wanna know.
there's a lot of male culture, I think, that's very non-respectful of women, and you know, and growing up and dating, and there's, you know, women are a complete mystery to men, right? And so we sometimes act not in the best ways, and I wish that I don't know, maybe I just needed a better education on that at a younger age. But I wish
so you've been a little douchish to some women.
not too bad, but but it is true.
Were you like player status?
Huh?
Like player status?
Like,
Not a big deal.
Like, you know,
I
like
wish
those
I could live my
nerdy-
life again, and I wouldn't be as much of a player. That's my issue.
Pretty much.
That's
That's
what
the
I
thing.
yeah.
All right, fair enough. If I could choose one of those, neither one sounds appealing, I have to be honest. I feel really happy with where I am in my life right now, and it's because of the decisions I've made. I love being a woman. I identify very strongly with femininity, so I don't think I'd want to be a man. So I would probably take the other option of being a kid and starting over. And I would change some things. I think I would change, the majority of things I would change would have to do with the very beginning of my career and the type of topics I covered. And I would focus way more on science if I were in school. So I agree with you, Wendy. All right, well, tell us what you would do. Which would you choose? Would you rather change your gender, or would you start over as a kid? Comment in the section below. Tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. The protests in Baltimore are continuing. In fact, just this past Monday, over 200 protesters were arrested as a result of some violence that took place. Now, there are two different groups of people that are taking part in these protests. There are the credible, legitimate protesters who know what they're there for, and then there are those who are just agitators, those who are rioting, looting. They're using this opportunity to steal from stores, and unfortunately all our press coverage has been on that as opposed to the real issues in Baltimore. Now, there are other issues in Baltimore that need to be discussed, and that has to do with the treatment of journalists. Recently, there was a journalist with the Baltimore City paper, a photographer to be specific, by the name of J.M. Giordano. And apparently, while he was doing his job, the police decided it would be a great idea to attack him. It was all caught on tape. Take a look.
He's a photographer! He's press! Photographer! He's a photographer!
Now that video was captured by a city paper managing editor by the name of Bernard Woods, and you can see that they're yelling, he's a photographer, he's a journalist, like, let him go, you know, and apparently at some point they finally just kind of gave up and they did let him go. But when that was posted online, it had the caption, "Me being beat on by several Baltimore police," and then he also used the hashtags Freddie Gray, hashtag Baltimore. So you see things like that, and it makes you realize that not only are the police misguided in some of their actions, there are real journalists out there that really put their lives on the line to give you the information that you get. There are journalists out there that give me the information that I need to do the shows that I do. And I have so much respect for them because not only do they put their lives on the line, in a lot of cases they don't make much money and they don't get much recognition. So all my respect goes to the Baltimore City paper and the fact that they're doing great original reporting on this. I want to know what you guys think though. Robbie, make your point.
I think it's a special kind of crime to hurt a journalist or put a journalist in harm's way. But, you know, and not to defend the police officers at all here, but because, like, what threat could a photographer really be posing? But I'm always curious how these things start. You know, like, how did that happen, you know? And my guess is that it was probably one bad officer to begin with, you know, whose ego was bruised, didn't want to be photographed maybe, and then the other officers were just trying to back their buddy up, basically. And I think that's how this sort of thing happens, especially in that chaotic environment. It gets overwhelming, and so again, I think it goes back to training, you know, and better training so they can handle those chaotic environments and not do something like be a journalist.
Yeah. You know, it doesn't surprise me when those who are being questioned because of their part in injustices have reactions like that, because a journalist is a person who documents what happens in the world, and sometimes they document things that people aren't very happy about. So it wouldn't be far-fetched for a police officer to retaliate if they feel that they have a guilty conscience in this whole situation. That's my guess. What do you think, Wendy?
Girl, like, don't get me started, because this has been a thing that I've been actually covering for a while now over at the work that I'm doing at Reportedly. But I think what we're seeing is that filming the police has become not something that is protected any longer. In fact, Texas wanted to pass a law that would make it against the law for a civilian to film the police, and that includes photographers as well, as long as they're not in obstruction of the work that's being done. California is passing a bill that would make it actually clarify that it would be okay to film and photograph the police. So there's all this ambiguity about what's possible, and you know, what's interesting also in the Baltimore riots is that April 29th is the 23rd anniversary of the LA uprising with Rodney King. And so we're seeing like this symmetry in like what's happening in Baltimore and what happened many years ago in Los Angeles and what's really happening across the country. So the idea that journalists like are getting beat up, that is insane, and it's not what America stands for. And the fact that these police officers feel like they can get away with it, and that only through filming it do we actually see the truth, I think that's a big problem that we have to face.
I totally agree with you. Look, freedom of the press is a constitutionally protected right. So when we have debates about what's protected under the Constitution, it's always about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. You know what's also incredibly important? The right for press to go out there and hold politicians and those in authority accountable for their actions. So again, tremendous amount of credit to the journalists out there that are putting themselves in danger to give us the news. Now here's a personal question for the story. Have you ever been accused of something that you didn't actually do? Robbie.
Okay, in first grade. In first grade, I was accused by my teacher of cheating on a test. We had these like ridiculous folders too back then, and so like I just kind of like looked up because I couldn't sit still well as a child, and so I was kind of like looking at the clock and everything, and then I'd go back to it and all like that. And my teacher came up to me and said, "You're cheating." You know, just like definitively, and I started crying. And I still remember that incident. Like that is like still, for some reason, it stuck with me as this like horrible, like, oh my God, you know. I couldn't stand it as a kid. I was like, I didn't do it. Why don't you believe me? You know.
Wow.
Yeah. First grade was hard.
Wendy, what about you?
First grade is always hard. You know, I'll keep it on the journalism tip. I was accused by a very conservative listener of my show that I didn't give a very conservative member of Congress equal opportunity, I guess.
Yes.
But what I had done was aired a piece that he actually said on the floor, in which he was being a complete racist.
Yeah.
And I called him a racist, and so he called like the FCC on me. He called my boss. He went all out. And we had to listen to the tape again, and it was like, I cannot be held responsible for the words that come out of this member of Congress's mouth.
I bet you the person who contacted the FCC was the member of Congress that you reported on. I wouldn't be surprised. It's amazing how politicians feel the need to say hideous things on tape, and then later on when you
call them out,
they're like, what? I didn't say that. It's on tape.
How dare you? Yeah.
I had a similar situation. This is from years ago. Yeah. So we did a story about a KFC commercial that aired in Australia, and it was put online, and since it was put online, the nature of the commercial was called into question because it featured black soccer fans in an audience eating fried chicken, and so we had a discussion about whether or not it should be considered racist. Now, a lot of people in Australia didn't like our coverage of that, and I understand that. The Inquisitor, which is a publication that I really call foul on, decided to cover that story by taking a portion of the video where I'm paraphrasing someone else or I'm quoting someone else saying something racist, and then they quoted it as me saying it seriously.
Wow.
And even though I told them, you guys took that out of context, even though all the comments in that article tried to clarify for them that I was paraphrasing someone else, they haven't taken that article down. So they're accusing me of being racist when they had the full video and they were able to see it. I think that that's beyond sensationalistic, beyond character assassination, and the Inquisitor, you're a bullshit publication unless you take that shit down. Calling you out on that 100%. Anyway, tell us what you guys think. Have you ever been accused of something that you didn't actually do? Comment in the section below and we'll see you soon. 3 Russian women have been charged with hooliganism in Russia because of a dancing video that they put online, and of course, it went viral. Now, Russian authorities arrested the ladies after the video of them dancing outside the World War II memorial in Russia. Now, the prosecutors objected to the, quote, erotic and sexual twerk dance. We have the video for you. I didn't see any twerking in it, but you can see the World War II memorial, so take a quick look.
Allow me to fuck you tonight. Bend over your bumper, cock up for the bike. See the cocky you wet up for your right. Touch your toe, 6:30, me must make you try. Girl, you know be rocky, but the plus and pussy down. Your body right, girl, like that when me love. When I don't see pressure, me apply you. Make she feel it, make she feel it. When the cocky up, girl, you feel wine pan it. Show say you're bad, boom, like a hydraulic. Girl, hold me back and she a try grab it. When the pressure take her, she a bite her lip. Remember when you tell me say you like tall dick.
That was an interesting transition. So 3 of those women actually got jail time for their part in that video. One 18-year-old was sentenced to 15 days in jail, a 24-year-old was sentenced to 10 days, and another 26-year-old was sentenced to 10 days. 2 other women, a 28-year-old and a 22-year-old, received fines instead of jail time because of their poor health. I mean, they look pretty healthy in that video, but whatever. And also, the background music is by a Jamaican artist, and the name of the song is Touch You Tonight. So the whole issue here is that it was disrespectful to those who lost their lives during World War II. In fact, Russians suffered about 20 million deaths during the conflict. And so, of course, the authorities there were appalled when they saw this video, and they were even more appalled when it went viral. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this. I have some pretty strong opinions on it. Wendy, make your point.
Well, I would say, first I'd like to know what those ladies were even thinking when they decided to do this twerking video at the memorial. Were they celebrating life? Were they wanting to do a performance in honor of...
That's actually a great question that I know the answer to.
Okay.
The reason why they did the video was because they were trying to promote their dance school. So there was no political message meant. I don't think that they really thought about it before they did it. I think they saw the site and they thought it was beautiful, a nice place to shoot a video, and they did it without putting any thought behind it.
Okay, then that changes everything, because I was right about to defend them, and now I'm just like, yeah, you kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Like in the twerking generation, like you gotta think about what you're doing.
The twerking generation doesn't think about what they're doing.
I was just in China. I was at Tiananmen Square, which also shares a very similar history. And I saw the same thing and I was appalled. I was like, do you not recognize where you're at and like the history that happened here and how many people were massacred? Like, stop dancing. Unless you're doing it to like celebrate and honor the people that are there.
People were dancing at Tiananmen Square?
Yes, it was not cute.
Fascinating. All right, okay. Robby, what do you think? Make your point.
Just why that location, right? Like, and it's almost like, were they unaware somehow that wasn't, that was a memorial? Like, they're like, oh, look, a park, but it's just like there was no reason for them to do it on that place. And Russia, I think, suffered the most casualties in World War II, and 20 million deaths, that's...
It's not a joke.
No, it's not a joke, and it's something that should be respected.
Sometimes ignorance isn't bliss, and in this case, 3 people are going to serve some jail time because of their ignorance. And even though I definitely agree that what they did was disrespectful, I think that, there's a middle ground in terms of the punishment. I don't think that they should be sent to jail. I don't think that they're hardened criminals or they're violent criminals. I think they might be dumb. I think that they might need to be educated on why this is a bad thing to do. I think they might need to do some community service. But the worst thing to do is throw them in jail, because I don't think that that really genuinely teaches anyone anything, other than the fact that Russia is very authoritarian when it comes to certain things. I mean, it reminds me of Pussy Riot and the fact that they served 2 years behind bars because they did a protest dance at a Catholic church. So I get it, people are offended, but in some cases, you can consider things like this freedom of expression, right? So I don't think jail time makes sense. If you want to punish them in some other way, that would be better for me. All right, so tell us about an embarrassing or memorable story from high school. It doesn't have to be a high school dance. I know that the question says that, but I want to know. Robby.
Okay, well, mine... Not embarrassing. Not embarrassing. My high school dances were exquisite. They were fantastic. I think I told one of these stories already.
I know, right? Not a big deal.
But There was one time, I grew up in the twerking generation, somewhat, and really, like, everyone was grinding in this, like, sweaty gymnasium. It's horrible, right? And I was like, this is not what dancing is about. So, like, me and my friend wanted to make some room for our friend group to dance in. So we had a full-on dance-off. And mind you, me and my friend are not good dancers. So we started with like things like this, and it kind of became a tribal dance. We did like a crab battle back and forth and everything like that. And people got so alarmed that they kind of started backing up. And then sure enough, me and my friends like had the space we wanted to like dance.
Wait, so the crab thing is not a serious dance move?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. No. I'm a big fan of the crab dance.
Of the crab dance?
It's more of a crab battle.
Crab battle,
I would say.
Even better.
Yeah.
Wendy, what about you?
There's a song in Spanish actually that's about crabs.
Like the sea crustacean kind?
Yes.
Or
the sea crustacean.
Yes. Making sure.
There's also a salsa song about AIDS, and that's a real thing.
Oh.
Okay.
So I grew up in the grinding R. Kelly generation. And,
me too.
Which is a total different generation. But I think my most embarrassing one, it's also a high school dance. My parents are immigrants to this country, and so the dance started at 8. My mom wanted to be home by 9.
Oh no.
So it was really, really bad, and I ended up like staying out and getting in trouble.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm proud of you.
I was like, it's homecoming. Nobody's gonna get there until 10.
Yeah.
Like, come on, I have to be home by 9. It was a big deal.
What time did you get home?
Like 12:30.
Good for you.
I wasn't super bad, but I was like past pumpkin Cinderella status. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
The most memorable high school dance, I think it was actually a middle school dance for me, it was called A Night Under the Stars, which, by the way, I don't think a school should be throwing a dance like that for middle schoolers. But I remember I was a nerd up until about that time, and no one wanted to date me and blah, blah, blah. And then there was this guy named Robert who was like the tall, athletic, sexy guy that everyone wanted to date. And like...
that was... Okay, never mind.
And he actually asked me to be his girlfriend like a week before that. So I went to the dance with him and I was like all proud. And then like a few days later, I realized I wasn't really that into him, so I broke up with him.
That's like that movie She's All That or something.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
He was a nice guy though. I felt bad. I can't even really consider that a relationship, right? It was only a week. Anyway, tell us what you guys think. Share a memorable high school experience in the comment section below, and we will see you soon. Airbnb is a great option for those who want to travel, stay in a nice cozy place, and pay a lot less than a hotel. Well, what about those who are extremely kinky and they don't want to go through TSA with their sex toys? There is now an option for you. It's known as Kink B&B, and it lets you rent things like a sex dungeon while you're on vacation. So this is a pretty interesting idea. Of course, it came up, the people who came up from it are from San Francisco. They launched it just this week, and apparently it has a lot of different options for those who are into different fetishes. So let me give you a few examples. One of the people who works at Kink B&B says it's a kinky oasis of pleasure and sensuality where everything is permitted, except for all the things that aren't permitted under the house rules. No full or partial suspensions, and nothing to be attached to walls or ceilings. No fire play or any other activity that requires a spotter. Okay, so one post advertises, quote, love in the lascivious lair for $300 a night. So it's not as affordable as Airbnb. $300 a night is a little steep, but you get a freaking lascivious lair. And it can house up to 4 people, and it's pet friendly if you want, an audience. And also, there's another destination called Kink West Coast Getaway, and also prison cell. So here are some pictures of what Kink B&B has to offer. And again, sometimes when you're traveling, you want to take your sex toys with you, but you're really worried that the TSA is going to open your bag and take that dildo out. And, maybe you can go to one of these homes. You don't have to worry about
embarrassing.
That stuff. This is fine. The only point that I want to make is sometimes there are bodily fluids involved in sex. I don't know if I want to use other people's machinery or toys when I'm engaged in that type of activity. But I like the effort, and I like that people are open-minded and they want to try this kind of stuff out. Wendy, what do you think? Make your point.
I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about the cleanliness of it all. Like, how is it kept, like, clean, sanitized. I think it's a great idea. I was flying once and I had 2 microphones with me, and the crazy TSA guy thought they were dildos and wanted to embarrass me in front of everybody and took them out. So I could only imagine. Like,
wait, they took them out?
Yeah, he's like, oh, what's that? Yeah, it was 2 big microphones, and I was like, they're microphones. Oh, are you sure? And I was like, is this even?
God.
Can you even do this? This is even legal?
I mean,
like, do you not see my camera person like right behind me with the big like camera bag? But anyways, it goes to the point of like, can you travel safely or feel secure with your dildo?
Right.
Which is not a question that I thought I would be asking today.
So I've had this conundrum, and I just kind of came to accept the fact that I might get embarrassed. But why get embarrassed? Like, because I have a sex toy with me? Like, so what? Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big of a deal. But I can totally understand people who would get embarrassed by something like that. It is a very personal thing. I can't believe I just shared that. Robby, go ahead.
How immature is that, I think, for a TSA agent to be like, oh, look, you got a dildo. Like,
it was Texas.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know if that makes it any better, but...
the only thing I keep thinking about for this is, like, that couple that is not fully aware that this is going to be a sex dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, like, I'm so ready to see that family reunion happening at one of these places and getting there and being, like, horrified. And so, I don't know, like, that's the only thing I can think about with this story. I'm like, that would be hilarious.
Another thing is, if you're posting on Kink B&B, then you're kind of sharing your identity in a public forum and letting people know that you have a sex dungeon. I think that that's a courageous thing to do. So I commend you for that. All right, so here's the question for the story. Do you consider yourself kinky or conservative? Wendy. We want honesty here.
I would say a little bit of both. I think that what happens in the bedroom with my partner is entirely up to us.
Yeah.
And how people perceive me is completely different, and I think a lot of people are like that. I think you should feel free in exploring your sexuality and not be embarrassed by it, and book a room at one of these amazing dungeons and explore. Why not?
I love it. All right. What about you, Robby?
I'm super conservative.
You are?
Super conservative. Like, I'm wearing shorts and that's pushing it. Like that's my level of, like, I don't know. I can't really remove the feeling that it's really intimate and emotional from the body of it.
How did you go from Claire to, from Lothario to
I was more
Casanova
like make out and then, like, move on with our lives kind of a player. Like, it was kind of like, that. Yeah.
You were a makeout slut.
I was a makeout slut.
Okay.
That's and now everybody knows that about me.
And another thing.
All right, so
Robby
you're conservative. So let me answer the question myself, since you guys get upset when I don't answer the question. Kinky. I'm not conservative. I'm open-minded to not almost anything. I'm almost anything. I don't know. I think I started off as very conservative, and I was very much concerned about what my partner's perception of me would be or what everyone's perception of me would be. And then I realized that I wasn't having fun. And then I realized that I wanted to have fun and be myself and be vocal about the things I liked. And so I guess some of the things I like might be considered kinky, but for me, they're considered normal. They don't harm anyone, and they make me happy. So I want to know what you guys think. Are you conservative or kinky in the bedroom? Do you want to be specific about the kind of things you're kinky about? Comment in the section below. Tell us what you think, and we'll see you soon. A woman in the UK is saying that she has a really difficult time finding a new job because of her face tattoos. In fact, Kay Bennett got cute stars on the side of her face, and apparently people are unwilling to hire her because they think the tattoos look unprofessional. Now, I have to be honest, when I first read this story and I found out that she had face tattoos, I was like, oh my god, it probably looks so hideous and horrible, and I can understand why people don't want to hire her. But you look at that, and yeah, it's still a tattoo on your face, but it looks so harmless, it's small, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, she has accumulated tattoos on her arms and neck. She was working as a security guard before, but the 33-year-old says that she quit that job and now she's looking for something new, and she's having a really, really difficult time doing it. She got the tattoos when she was 18 years old because she was being bullied for having red hair, and so she wanted to intimidate her bullies. In fact, let me read you her exact quote. "I was bullied at school for my auburn hair being called ginger. I thought if I had tattoos I would look hard and people would think twice before picking on me." So she is hoping that by making this story public, people will maybe help her get some funds so she can get laser tattoo removal. we'll see if that happens. But I feel bad for her. She should be able to get a job. I don't think the tattoos are that big of a deal. Robbie, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm surprised she's not able to find one. Do the employers specifically list like the tattoo on your face is
She claims.
She claims.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the tricky thing is, it's hard to get a job just in general. And having a face tattoo doesn't help. It is very subtle though, and that's why I'm kind of looking at this. I'm like, is that really keeping her from getting a job? I find that really surprising.
There is no end to the power of makeup, and I feel like there could be a possibility that she can buy some really good makeup to cover it up, and maybe she can wear her hair to the side.
There should be plenty of jobs where it's not an issue. I can understand maybe customer service, why you might have some hesitations about that, but there's plenty of jobs where that shouldn't matter at all. Well,
we had Kamaro Brown on the Young Turks this week, and he's honestly one of my favorite co-hosts. Really, really intelligent, just a good person. And I noticed that he had a tattoo on his neck, like a very small tattoo on his neck. And then I thought about, people who might not hire him because of something that stupid. And what a waste, to judge someone based on their tattoos or the way they look. It drives me crazy. Wendy, what do you think?
I think it's sad that she's being bullied twice. So now she got the tattoos because she was bullied, and now she wants to get rid of the tattoos in another form of bullying because she can't get a job. I wonder, what state she's in, because she seems like somebody that would be able to get a job with a quickness in California.
Right. Well, she's in the UK, so it might be a little different there.
But, at a bar, if she did security, it seemed as a bartender, I don't know what kind of job she's trying to get, obviously, but... I don't see the tattoos as such a big deal. It's not like the woman that got Drake on her forehead. That is extreme. These are 3 little tiny stars. I mean,
although I love Drake and I kind of understand where she's coming from. Anyway, here's the first question.
We all do.
All right, if you had to tattoo one word on your face, what would it be? Wendy, I'm going to start with you.
I think I would maybe do kinky down here. Tiny, and Japanese fonts maybe. I don't know. Or sexy. Something cute like that.
All right. Yeah. What about you, Robbie? I can't imagine either one of you with a face tattoo, but can you imagine Robby Motz showing up to TYT or The Point one day with a face tattoo?
Let me tell you, I would have one of 2 things. One, you know what? I think I would just have it right here on my forehead, and it would just say forehead. And that would just be it. And so I could just say I'm just an organized person, and I could play it off. And I think it'd be kind of funny.
All right,
just forehead. What does it mean? It means that's what that is. It means
forehead.
That's all it is.
So look, you can get it anywhere on your face. So I would probably get it right where my hairline is, so you can barely see it. And I would get something about my mom. I saw this really cute tattoo where someone's mom wrote "Love Mom" on in cursive or whatever, and then the tattoo artist tattooed that on the person's body. And so I would do something. I love my mom. It's her birthday today too. Happy birthday. So
Happy birthday to your mom.
Yeah. So that's what I would do, but I want to know what you guys would tattoo on your face. And also, what do you think about this story? Maybe you already have face tattoos and you've experienced something similar. Comment in the section below. We want to hear your stories, and we'll see you soon. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I want to give our panelists an opportunity to talk about some of the work that they're doing, tell you more about themselves. Robby Motz, please go ahead.
All right, so you can catch me on Ray William Johnson's channel on =3. We're running strong with that show. You'll see my Twitter handle. I think it pops up. Does it pop up? Oh, it is there.
Does.
Okay, great.
There it is.
And you can find me on Instagram. I also have my own personal YouTube channel. You can find me at youtube.com/RobbyTheMotz.
Awesome. Wendy Carrillo.
Sure. So we just launched a new news startup. It's called Reportedly, and you can follow us at Reportedly. And we've been covering Baltimore. We've been covering international affairs like Yemen, covering Latin America. So it's all based on social media and what we find online, and using those sources to tell the truth from the people on the ground.
Very cool. Well, I'm Ana Kasparian. You guys can check me out on all sorts of places. At Ana Kasparian on Twitter, Ana Kasparian TYT on Instagram, and there is a Facebook page for people who view this show and the Young Turks, facebook.com/Ana Kasparian Official. Also, check me out on the Young Turks, youtube.com/The Young Turks. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show, and never be afraid to make your point.